Hi, the season of Mayor Work begins. This is your host, Lady O. Mayor Work Conversations with Lady O. So this one I really endeavored to be short because I need to continue my resting. I'm not 100%, still under the weather. However, this episode had to be done because still looking at my notifications, I still see comments, which should still happen, and I'm going to elaborate why you should not just let it go. You should just not throw in the towel. In regards to June and DougFord and how he is head over heels with what Kathleen Wynne brought into Ontario. Now, the reason why the Wynne led party lost the sales is because of Ontarians back then said that these ideologies has gone too far, especially when it came to education, which is provincial jurisdiction, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the federal government does disperse benefits and all of that to different provinces, the reallocation and all of that. However, once the funds are sent down to the province, it is the province jurisdiction as to how to spend it. So you want changes in your education system. You want changes where our children are taught the priority science, technology, engineering, and math, leaving all social ideologies out of the classroom, returning back in the power of the home to the mother, the father, the grandparent, the caregiver. That is provincial. Now, it is intentional to keep you confused. Keep bringing up topics and allocating it to one governmental level, and it has nothing to do with that governmental level. DougFord, the Progressive Conservative Party, are in control of a whole lot of funding for the things that in Ontario you're griping about. Now, this is the same thing for all provinces. However, yes, federally, they do set the tone federally. You want changes, you have to get rid of DougFord. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. You guys allow them to keep having you run around like a hamster in this wheel thinking that you're making change. Let me explain something once again. I am a classical liberal who left the Liberal Party when I saw progressivism rearing its dark head, and I looked around and I saw that classical liberals identified it. We left. The progressive liberals, they just took over. The progressive conservatives on the federal level also were championing the very same things that we, who were the base, the grassroots of the Liberal Party, was saying no to. Now, I'm one of those people who gave DougFord the benefit of the doubt because when the party was doing the leadership change, we on the outside, we're waiting for the conservatives to get their act together and pick the right leader. And all of you conservatives galvanized around DougFord because he came in with the Ford banner, riding on the coattail of his brother, popularity. People loved Rob. They did not. Doug was like, yeah, he's there. But, okay. What we respected was he always had his brother's back. So we thought that that was something he would continue in his legacy, to really have his brother's back on the things that he know his brother would be fighting for, especially the fact that he's coming in on his brother's legacy. Municipally in Toronto, because Toronto is the stronghold of the Liberal Party. DougFord is not a liberal. He is a progressive. Sorry, he's not a conservative. He's a liberal. He's a progressive conservative. He's progressive. He is a liberal in a blue tent. He was a liberal at heart. He believed in all the progressive liberal ideologies, but he was in a blue home. He's not going to go and walk away from the family business, the family legacy, the family. Come on, he's not. However, he didn't share all of the conservative values. But one thing he did do, which is just, it's not a conservative thing, but you would think that that would have transferred over into, as I said, what he is supporting, is standing behind family. Just like how he stand behind his family and stood behind his brother and family come first, he's thrown all Ontario families under the rug. This is what was just shocking with DougFord's attitude and behavior. But then again, as time went on, you realize, I realize, many of us realize, we're like, oh, I get it now. I get it now. I get it now. So when the Liberal Party provincially was going rogue, and the writing was on the wall that the win in their sales was no longer there, all of their progressive people jumped ship and joined the Conservative Party. We bailed. Classical Liberals bailed. The progressives saw that they can't go down with a sinking ship, so they bailed. And they came over to DougFord, and they made a real great deal with DougFord. DougFord loves power. And they will keep him in power as long as he keep their agenda going. And this is why he came in saying everything that he knows that you conservatives will want in regards to parents' rights. And then he had the other side of him, the business side. So many of you thought it's a win-win. I don't know if pun is intended. You thought it was a Kathleen win with a DougFord win together. And you're like, hey. But deep down, they saw that. They saw that this was a Kathleen win with a DougFord's win. So they kept quiet. While DougFord came in and made you think he was a true conservative. He told you everything in regards to what he's going to repeal for Kathleen win. And he has a business sense. So the contenders, the real conservative contenders that were truly going to stick it to the win agenda, lost the leadership and did not have the support of the grassroots. And then when DougFord came in and flip-flopped and said, oh, by the way, you know, all those that foundational merited talking points that you all voted for me on, I've changed my mind. And you know, the leader, the conservative member that was like, you know what? She doesn't represent our party. You know, she's too harsh. I have to start making amends. And from that point on, you start to see him make concessions, because that was the deal. Certain people had to go out of his party. And he brought in the progressive liberals into his fold under the conservative blue tent. And you all allowed it. Every one of you writing associations allowed it. So this is why they don't like classical liberals like myself coming in. They prefer the progressive liberals coming in, because those are the candidates that they bring in. Scarborough, all Scarborough candidates, from Rouge to North, all of them are liberals in the blue tent. A classical liberal like myself, my writing association will get the phone call from the party saying not to interview me and drop me from being a candidate. And then I start to see a familiar face popping up in every writing that a real conservative or a classical liberal who is very much foundational in conservative values. I see the same person popping up always on the team of these candidates. I see this person popping up a lot, municipally, provincially, but there's one particular face that keeps being the face of DougFord's party, community engagement. And this person always seems to be there to help but the candidates always flop and lose. Now, the ones that they know can really be a contender, they get them out of the race. Now, you see Trojan horses who are liberals in the Conservative Party, they also identify this liberal Trojan, but they keep quiet because of familiarity. It could be color skin familiarity. It could be familiarity of the motherland, or familiarity of accents and all of that. So they keep quiet, and they know that that person is a Trojan horse in the blue tent, but they keep quiet because they also, in the conservative blue tent, they're also Trojans. So Trojans will cover each other because it's a win-win for them to be in the conservative blue tent, because they get Kathleen Wynne's ideologies full force, and they also get the feeling of their party winning. But it's no longer your party, it's their party. They just want to be on a winning team. They don't care where. And if they can't be on a winning team on the liberal side because people have had enough of them, they go over on another team, but they are pushing the liberal ideologies. They just want to win. And who they want to win is DougFord, because DougFord is the best man for this job. Also, as long as DougFord keeps riding on the Ford nostalgia of his brother in Toronto, federally, the Liberal Party will always federally still have something to say. See, locally, they're done with. But on a federal scale, all these ridings help the federal party. This is why we had what we had with the Polivier situation. Alberta came to full force. But everybody on the other side of Canada, they're discombobulated with exactly what they're standing for. Because they will vote Conservative provincially, but then they allow Ontario to fall into the Liberal hands federally. You know why? Because you have majority of Conservatives who are truly not conservative. They are progressive conservative. And they are progressive liberals. So they know for them to keep the pressure on you and for their ideologies to keep rolling forward, for their school boards, their school system, teachers' college, their trustees, all of their agendas to still be funneling into a system, DougFord has to stay. Now, they have you backed up against a corner where it's either DougFord or Bonnie Crombie. So you feel you have no choice. It's the lesser devil scenario all over again. Really, is it? Are you that much defeated that you're really going to lay down again for a fourth time? Actually did it for a fourth time federally, and for provincially, you allow DougFord to remain as a leader. And this is what the progressive liberals know. They know that conservative deep down, you're not strategic. They count on you to just be upset, pissed off, frustrated. You yell, you keyboard warrior, you protest, you petition. But you don't want to leave the comfort of how you protest to actually get out there and make a change. They count on that. They rely on you throwing in the towel. They know you don't have longevity. They know that you don't see the big picture. And if you see the big picture, you won't do anything about it, but you just spectate. You know it's wrong. You oh my God, that's not right. But you just stand by and just watch and verbally protest and all that stuff, but you do nothing to tangibly change the situation. You keep looking around for someone to do something, and then when someone does something, you don't support it. To actually tangible support, not supporting things that make you feel like you're doing something that's going to make a change. I mean, actually doing something that actually does tangibly manifest, like it actually now creates change. So for when they tell you you don't have a choice, I'm going to remind you that you do. Because there's one conservative writing that I always have to salute, where DougFord tried that and they said, no way. And they went rogue on DougFord. And even with his snap election, the person he parachuted in thinking he's going to ride the fear in that riding with Trump as your enemy, they say, no, Doug, we saw you 4 years ago and we said no 4 years ago. We're going to show you again. So even the snap election, they came out winning with their independent conservative candidate. This riding, they sent him a very strong message. The Riding Association, she ran as an independent, conservative in the Riding Association. Every conservative in that riding backed her. She won as the only independent in the 2022 election, and then she ran again in the snap election because again she's the incumbent, and he thought he's gonna win because of the snap, and she came out beating him again. The first time he threw at her, the mayor of the city was his candidate that he parachuted into the position and thought that the mayor would win, and nope, the mayor lost to this independent, real conservative, because the grassroots in that riding said, no, Doug, you do not dictate who we want representing us. Now I don't know if that mayor ever won re-election or not, but for sure he didn't win the provincial seat. And in the snap election again, he put someone else there, and they sent him a clear message a second time. No, Doug, hands off this riding. We want a real conservative. Now you might say, oh, independent doesn't have voice. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Now, I say this to say, if this real conservative riding can do this twice under the pressure of DougFord's election, all the money he throws behind these candidates, and this one riding sent him a message 2 times. Don't tell me other conservative ridings cannot send a message to DougFord as well. Let the Conservative Party start seeing that their safe conservative seats are being won by conservative independents. It is possible. Conservative riding associations need to get out of rubbing shoulders and having titles and wanting to please DougFord as some czar, kissing his pinky ring and just taking whoever he sends in. And riding associations need to stop that. And every riding association, you galvanize under the person you wanted to represent your riding and have them run as an independent and send a message. You see how soon the party pumps the brakes, because when they see riding associations not support the candidate that DougFord is sending, keep your membership. You pay your $40, keep your membership, but send a message. You're not there to support his candidate. You're not canvassing for his candidate. You might find some stragglers to want to do that, fine, but you support your conservative candidate. And they run as an independent, and you start to get more independent candidates in Queen's Park, and you would start to see that these independents are needed for votes. They're going to be the new power system at Queen's Park for bills to pass, because nobody's a majority. Take away the power from DougFord as being the majority. Don't give any leadway to the Liberals, and don't give any leadway for the NDP. It's the same. We were trying to explain this to you in 2020. It's not vote splitting. If you concentrate your vote on one candidate, the same way you're going to concentrate on DougFord's yes man and yes woman that's coming in saying they're representing him, but they're not. They're representing DougFord. And Ford is quickly damaging Ontario and selling out what it is to be a conservative. and you put all of your energy behind that independent candidate, you're still winning. The Liberals is losing. The NDP is losing. The person who's winning is your independent candidate. It's not it's not hard, people. It is not rocket science. It's not something difficult to comprehend. You stay loyal to your principles and you send a very strong message. You are putting an X behind this is the conservative that's on the ticket, not the one for DougFord. This independent here, this is our choice. And you go door to door, you canvass passionately for that independent candidate, and you let all the conservatives make sure everybody knows this is who is representing us, and you're sending a message to DougFord. You would see how quick the progressive conservative pump their brakes when they realize progressivism, you found it like you're now standing against it. You're calling it out. You're not backing down. This is what they expect you to do. They expect you to back down, throw in the towel. When you start something, they expect you not to follow through. They expect for you to fizzle out. How many conservative petitions and actions and protests start off grandiose, and then you fizzle away because you now are up against resistance? You don't think Justin Trudeau knew this? This is why he was able to get away with what he got away with. That's why Chrystia Freeland was able to get away with what they got away with. Because they do not expect conservatives north of the border to truly stand up. You still find a way to passively bow down and acquiesce, because you either know two ways: protest, petition, and that's it. You get beaten, trodden down and everything, and you think, oh, well, that's it, they won. No. And then you have these liars coming in telling you, oh, voting doesn't count, discourage you from voting, it's rigged, and all this nonsense. Yet still, look at how much the Liberals throw everything behind cheating. If everything is as they want to convince you, rigged, why do they put so much energy behind flipping votes? Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is not rigged. You stay home, they've rigged it. You don't go out and volunteer, they rigged it. One of the reasons why I'm sick right now, because my immune system, like my body just revolted on me, because I was pushing so hard. I was pushing myself so hard, making sure that I truly am on record, not just for you people, but for myself, for my conscience, and for my son, that he knows that I did everything. I traveled far and near to support conservative candidates. All when they had the by-election all down that Lake Shore, that police officer that ran for the by-election down Lake Shore, I took 2 buses and a GO train. It used to take me over an hour and a half just to get there to volunteer. I did it twice, and the people really don't appreciate how much people sacrifice. Because you drive and you get there easily, and you take for granted what volunteers truly do to give time. And the way in which you so quickly dismiss your volunteers, it also is a testament to how the Liberals know you easily dismiss their betrayal, and you easily dismiss the effect of them destroying Canada. Because you would easily dismiss a volunteer who's sacrificing. I will always use myself an example. Single mother, living all the way out in Scarborough, and I would get up, sacrifice not getting breakfast, I can catch the certain bus, to get to where I need to get to on time to volunteer for the whole day. Because if I'm traveling that far, I'm not going to volunteer for 2-3 hours. I'm dedicating the whole day. That could be locally, right here in Scarborough. It could be close by in Don Valley. It could be farther away in Lakeshore. I will travel to assist because of the severity of what I know this means. Yet still, many of your campaigns will not see that and respect that. And that's how you dismiss so many volunteers like myself. This is the same attitude that you dismiss the true gravity of what's happening. And you embrace easily the Trojan horses that come in, and you think they're there to help, but they're not. And you trust them more than the loyal volunteer that's traveling so far with their heart on their sleeve, not for you, but for what you represent, because this is their country. This is my country. This is my child's country as well. So since 2020, all of you conservatives that was saying we're in this together and we're fighting for our children, more and more classical liberals like myself, we see that this was not about all. Because you guys still don't know you don't know the all of who your allies are, and you don't know the all of who your open enemy are. You guys do not know how to pinpoint a real Trojan. You have your eyebrows perked up, and you're looking at us classical liberals side eye. You can't trust us. I know they're here to help, but let's just be clear that such and such and such. Okay, great. But the ones that you're embracing, the ones that you're paying, the ones that you embrace them, and they're there to make you fail. They're not sacrificing to be there. Tell them to get on a bus and travel for an hour and a half with no breakfast, rushing, especially if they have a night job or they're going to school and they're juggling, but they're making time and they're there consistently. Tell those that you're embracing to do that, and don't pay them. See if they show up consistently and put in the work consistently, passionately. See that. This is what this writing did for their independent conservative. They were passionate. They took this personal. Many of you conservatives are not taking this betrayal of DougFord personal enough. And DougFord knows that. He can throw a nice barbecue event, some free food, bouncy castle, face painting, yada, all this kind of crap, and he can hook you right back in. He can send out all of his foot soldiers smiling and laughing at you. But listen, they are about Kathleen Wynne's agenda provincially. And they are about keeping Justin Trudeau's alive federally. No matter what they put their face on, that is what is happening. And you're not passionately pissed off enough. Thank you, DougFord, for the hamburger, the hot dog, the free this, the bouncy castle, the free that. Thank you for the $250 check. Thank you. And you're going. We're not voting you back in. Take all his spoils. Oh yeah, take them. Take them. Cash it. Go have fun. Get the watermelon, the hot dogs, the free giveaways. Oh, take it. It's your tax dollars. I'm sorry. It's yours. Take it. And you send him home. Send him packing. You see how quickly your school board, your trustees, municipal, you see how quickly all of that funneled down. The same way that the agenda was able to funnel all the way down to your school board, you conservatives put your back into it. Really. Put your back into it. And you'll see how things can really change. We can get Canada first again. We can get Ontario truly back in the hands of conservative values. I'm not even pushing liberal. The classical liberals, we're not in the numbers for us to even, we know that. And this is why we left, because we saw how that party has gutted itself out there. And this is why I would always respect classical liberals. I have respect for conservative, but this is what, we don't care to let you fall. We would let you fall. We would let you fall flat on your face. We don't need a facade to keep something up when we know in keeping up the facade, we're actually destroying ourselves. We're not that egotistical and prideful. We would let you fall. we would do a protest vote and not vote, or vote conservative or stay home. That is why the Liberal Party is still scraping and holding on for dear life. But conservatives, you are so prideful that you don't want your brand to fall. Yet still your brand is taking Canada and Ontario over the cliff. You in Alberta, I see people coming down on Daniel Smith. Let me tell you something. You better thank every day that that woman is your leader. Trust and believe. So, conservatives have to come to a place where you let your pride go and you let the blue tent fold. Stop being the legs under the tent that's keeping it up and let it just collapse. And in the meantime, you erect some new stilts, some new foundational pillars called independent conservative candidates. And you have one. Her name is Bobby Ann. So her name is Bobby Ann Brady. She is the member of Parliament. She's the only independent, and she did it twice. Oh, let me bring her back up here. And she did it twice. She's on Instagram. That's her about page on Wikipedia. But she should have a website. Hold on. There it is. Haldeman, Norfolk. That's the same one I believe Leslie Lewis is in. I tell you, that writing, don't joke. That writing is, I tell you, conservative for real conservative. They're real conservative. And yeah, so she was the executive assistant. See, I was right. She was a face of the office for the MPP at that time, Toby Barrett. And he was the MPP for Haldeman, Norfolk for many years. And then DougFord got rid of him and shut down. And he does that a lot when he want to send a message to all the ridings. But what I salute this riding association for, they did not back down like other ridings. They said, oh, really, Doug? You want to do that? And she ran as an independent. And you can go on her page. And she won. She won. And she won again. So if this riding association can do it, don't tell me that the other riding associations can't copy and paste. I did reach out to her her first time around to get some information on how to do this. Her and I have just not been able to connect. However, I do believe that riding associations all across Ontario should reach out to Bobby Ann and reach out to her team and start now. Start now with a candidate in your riding. Listen, Scarborough Guildwood don't need to. This is not me self-endorsing myself. I sent you my CV. I spoke to one of your riding members. Convinced me that DougFord is, a changed person and yada, 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 all this kind of nonsense. told me what to do. I sent in my CV, sent in an email to the person that's supposed to be doing the whole collecting of CVs and vetting people, whatever the case may be. Send it in, got an email for my interview. I rearranged everything for that day. Everything was good to go. Hours before the interview, got a message, an email that the party has told the writing not to interview me. However, I went into detail with that video already. Up until now, nobody could give me an answer from the writing association. Imagine that. I'm a member. I sent in my CV. You don't even have the decency to respond to my emails to find out why, what happened. However, an insider told me. So this is how I have no respect for Scarborough Guildwood Writing Association provincially. No respect whatsoever. None. You guys do not have a backbone. You don't have a spine. You're there to be DougFord's helpmate and foot soldier for his progressive plan to destroy Ontario. And this is why Scarborough Guildwood will forever be in the Liberal hands, because that's also something that DougFord is either he keeps in the Liberal hands or he finds somebody for him. He will never have Scarborough Guildwood or any Scarborough writing fall into the hand of a real citizen who puts Canada first. A real conservative who's not a yes man or yes woman to DougFord, or God forbid, a classical liberal like myself, who left the Liberal Party, so he already know my loyalty is not to that party, and who voted for him when it was time now for the general election, thinking that he was going to be the one to get rid of Kathleen Wynne's agenda because he said he promised he would, and then to be lied to. So Doug, yes, I understand why Doug does not want me in his party, because he owns the party. You think Justin Trudeau is the only one that has a liking to China's dictatorship style? Think again. And you live now in an inflationary country, and the same things that you were so upset about, you're now okay because Mark Carney said so. Listen. So this is the petition that's there. It's on my X page. I've kept it pinned, and it's going to be pinned there until the next election, because I'm a woman of my word. I know long games. I give you the opportunity to not help yourself, because nobody can open their mouth and complain anymore. You see, this is how I roll. When you have the opportunity to make a course correction and make a change in your life, and you don't, I don't want to see you pointing any finger outside of yourself. I want to see you point inside and say, all you had to do was click, sign, and then connect. And then if you go on my YouTube, I have a playlist dedicated to DougFord with everything I've revealed. Now, this is the petition that is there right now. This is the first petition that Brian Matthews did in a very short time, and he got 1,589. This was specifically for the grassroots, for members. He took it down, and I'm like, why'd you take it down? And I'm like, keep it up, because the momentum, like, don't see things as a short win. You have to look long term. You got to keep the momentum, because DougFord is going to continue to mess up. And people are going to need somewhere to go. And then collect those emails. There's so many. Strategy. This is the thing I find with conservatives. The strategy. Your strategy. But yet still, you will be questioning people like myself. Our motives have been the same from day one. When we came here, I'm an immigrant. We came here because of wanting a place that's better. And you conservatives are making this place worse, or even in some cases, very scary close to where we came from. For some reason, you think you have more of a right to protest, and your anger is much more deeper. But the difference is, we do things. We get up, we mobilize, we travel, we sacrifice. As I said, that's why now I'm sick, because my body just said, girl, you've been pushing like 4 years nonstop, creating podcasts, YouTube channels, helping with the Zoom meetings, going to all these different events and speaking and helping parties to launch, like the New Blue Party, and advocating and helping even when Derek Stone was running independent, being the volunteer here to collect the ballots for the leadership for him. And like I was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing because I want to make sure nobody could say that I didn't show up. And every one of these movements that I went into, I saw so much fault. I saw so much unethical. I saw corruption. I'm like, what the heck? How are you any different? But then they don't like when I speak up. And then they listen to their little advisors and the people they think they can trust that realize that I'm not like them. And then they push me out and embrace those. And what happened? Doesn't your stuff flop? Do you get the end result that you've wanting? No. Because the way in which they're there to make you spin your reels over and over and over. They call people like me controlled opposition. They're the ones that's controlled. Because when they can't control people like myself, classical liberals like myself, they throw that out there because that is what they do. They control you, not successful. This thing could have ended a long time ago. But I find conservatives and patriots, and I put that in quotations, you are easily deceived because of how things are presented and how it comes wrapped. And your open enemy knows that you love wrapping and presentation. People like myself who are passionate. So he opened the second one. This one is now open to everybody. It's not just for members. It's now for members and non-members. And it's still at, let me just bring this over. It's at a very low number because I don't know what's being 12. I don't know what's being done to not spread this. And if Brian is doing everything he can to make people know about this, again, this is why the liberals believe that you guys are pushovers. I don't care if you signed the first one. Sign this one again and stop being pissed off at DougFord and start doing something to get rid of him. Now, if you writing association see this as betrayal, you are the betrayers. You betray your writing. You betray what conservatism is. You betray Ontario. And on a grand scheme, you betray the federal conservative. You betray Canada from being an economic force. You betray Canada from being first again. You be from us putting ourselves first and not being guilted into seeing that as something terrible. Well, you don't put your family first? Okay, open up the door and let anybody come in and do whatever and take whatever. You don't put yourself first? Okay, well, give your job to somebody else out there in the job market. You don't put yourself first? You don't put your family first? You don't put your house in order first? You don't make sure that you and your family is okay first before you go out and help? Since when is putting yourself and making sure that your house is in order first before you go out and extend a negative thing? Only progressivism can be so successful in making you believe that. So you writing associations, conservative, you are the traitors. Not Canadians like me. You are. So stop folding. Stop giving up. Stop thinking, and keep pushing. Keep pounding that pavement. Keep letting people know. You're pissed off at DougFord, sign this. Put your name to it. Put your name to it. And share it in all your WhatsApp group, in all your social media feed. Pin it to the top of your page. Real conservatives should get this and pin it at the top of your page. Get the link. You don't have to get my video. It's right there. Change.org. It's right there. If you want, you can go into my X page, find it, click on it, and then pin it to your page. Make a post and put it to your page. If you want to pin my video, I would appreciate that. You want to circulate my place with DougFord, I would greatly appreciate that. If you could find Brian Matthews' link and post it, I'll greatly appreciate. I'm sure you'll appreciate that too. But as I said, it was pinned on his page. It's not there anymore. So it used to be at the top. It's not there anymore. So I'm not too sure where it is. It's most likely further down. I don't have time to scroll all the way down, but you can go there and find it. But for sure, it's on my page. It's right at the top and it's pinned. So it's very accessible and easy to find. This is all of the next, climate change. Oh, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. We're now going to mandate you to tell you what car to drive because the world's going to come to an end. I remember when they said that in 1989. And they said, by 2000, this was going to happen. We're 2025. Listen, people. You're not long distance. If you don't see movement or you don't see success, you gauge success with a very short ruler. Whereas progressivism, either in conservative, progressivism in liberals, or progressivism even in the NDP party. You saw how that just destroyed them federally. I keep telling you, it's not hard for you to see the results of a thing. Look at what progressivism does to your party. You grassroots. It destroys your party and it takes the wind out of your sail. It comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And you keep playing around and patty caking with it around and kumbayaing and roasting marshmallows around an open fire with this progressivism. And it's just smiling all the way to stealing, killing, and destroying. While you're there playing around and being so accommodating. You don't need to be violent because that's what they like to do. And hence why Justin Trudeau was able to throw this insurrection nonsense at you for Ottawa. And then the same people that says, oh, they're not even taking themselves seriously. They're out there in hot tubs and bouncy castles. How serious can they be? But you're the same people that on the other side of your mouth believe that they were there and they deserve to be trampled over. You can't have it both ways. You can't have yourself attack and say they weren't even serious. They're out there in hot tubs or crying out loud and bouncy castles and yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, condone Justin Trudeau bringing in the military and treating them as if they're actual criminals. You just identified that they weren't. Bouncy castles, hot tubs, feeding the homeless. They're in the streets. They're celebrating peacefully. And at the same time, they're domestic terrorists. I'm telling you. Conservatives, Canadians, you're playing around with this progressiveness and it's destroying you. Every 4 years, you get further and further and further away from getting Canada back to common sense policies, small government, respecting your tax dollars, leaving money in your pocket and allowing other countries and nations to have their citizens dip into their pocket and build their country. Getting out of other people's business. And when people come over here, have them respect our business. And if they want to help back home, you can send your money back home to help whatever political party you want. You can use. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. I mean what I say. I protect my light always. I don't let anybody dim it down or anybody to put it out. Writing associations, progressive, conservatives that are in your associations need to be vacated. They need to be evacuated. They need to go. And stop playing around with anybody that DougFord sends in to help. They're not there to help. They're there to steal, kill, and destroy. And the only help that they're doing is to put a puppet in your riding. And all you want to do is win. Just to say you win. You don't want to win for Canada. You definitely don't want to win for Ontario. And for all the sitting MPPs that's there on the DougFord, you're also guilty in allowing this to keep going. As I said, I salute Carolyn Mulroney. Last election, during the federal, she endorsed Pierre against DougFord's liking. I was hoping that Carolyn was going to build a momentum of the resentment and say, you know what, we need a leadership review because Doug, you went too far. But she's keeping quiet. She falled back. I don't know why. I'm sure she has her own reasons, of course. Somebody needs to step up because this is not, no. And we need to do it early, not sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later. And for conservatives, you need to stop giving up so easily. Stop throwing in the towel so easily because you don't see movement. You have to have faith. You have to not give up. And at the end of the day, this is not more about, it's not about you. It's about what you say, who you say you are, what you say you're about. That shows character. If something is really passionate and something you really care about, something you don't give up. You find other ways of attaining the outcome, but you don't give up on the desired outcome. It might take a year. It might take 2 years. And this is also a life lesson. It might take 10 years, 15 years. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You stick with it. You don't give up on the outcome. You say what you mean. You be a man and a woman of your word. No matter how much time goes by, you've not forgotten your word. Now, get out there and start doing something that makes sense. And start doing it from a place and a space that you really want Canada, Ontario, and truly locally your school boards to get back in line to what Canada, our education, our cities, our towns, our provinces, like what it was once to be Canadian. You allow Justin Trudeau to tell you Canada is nothing of substance. Things can be easily torn down, changed, including your passport. That's a symbol of your identity, your story, what you stand for. Now you have Mark Carney telling you that Canada is on Muslim ideologies, Muslim beliefs. Muslim beliefs is Canada beliefs. Canada beliefs. I'm sorry. That's another podcast. No, we're not on the Muslim beliefs. That is for their country, their nation. We are not. I'm sorry, Mark Carney. What? Anyhow, I can't blame him. I blame you. And when I say you who passively allow this to happen by thinking because your blue tent is still standing up, it must mean that it's conservative. No, it's not. Progressivism is standing your tent up, not conservative values. Progressive values is keeping your blue tent up. And all who are under it has to abide and comply to progressivism. Get conservatives standards and pillars back up there. And then you'll have all within and everything under that reflect conservative values. But it's not going to be won by just venting online, keyboard warrioring, retweeting, reposting. All that is great, yes. Don't get me wrong. However, you have to put your muscle into it, your back into it. The passion has to carry over into something that is meaningfully effective. Put your name towards Brian's petition, circulate it passionately, pin it on your page, go to your writing associations, have this as your one of the top agendas for your next meeting. Really stop allowing DougFord from dictating your writings, and stop being easily coerced with free popcorn, free burger, free hot dog, free bag giveaway, bouncy castles, watermelons, cotton candy, ice cream. Listen, take it, thank you, and still get rid of him and all of his helpers. This is Lady O. Have a wonderful rest of your day.